Hello and welcome back. If you are about to welcome a new little person into your life and you already have one child, or maybe two, or maybe three, and you are a little bit worried about that transition and how it's going to be for your bigger littles, this is the video for you. Here I'm going to share with you my top 12 tips because I couldn't narrow it down to 10 on how you can ease that transition for your bigger little and make sure that it is as smooth and as supported a transition as can be. If this is the first time that you're here, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Kitty. I am a registered general nurse. I'm also a birth and postpartum doula, hypnobirthing instructor, antenatal educator, and IBCLC International Board Certified Lactation Consultant, as well as called mumma by 3 little people. And so I like to talk about everything from trying to conceive, pregnancy, birth, breastfeeding. Ooh, can you hear the thunder in the background? It's like a really drizzly day outside, which is a perfect day for filming for me, and a perfect day for you to be cozying up with a hot cup of something and writing down these tips. So get out your notebook and let's dive right into my top 12 tips for that transition going from 1 to 2 kids, or 2 to 3, or 3 to 4. Let's go. So just to preface this whole video in saying, it's going to be bumpy. It's going to be rocky, and one of the biggest and most helpful things that you can do in terms of easing that transition is to prepare your child for what it might look like to have a newborn baby in the house. So if you are a TV kind of family, there are some fantastic TV shows. We particularly love the Daniel Tiger episode on welcoming a new baby. There's also a really lovely Bluey episode where they talk about having a little sibling. And there's also some really lovely books, which I actually wrote down the names of because I could not remember them. As you can tell, I've got a lot of videos to film today. Where did I write down the notes? Oh yeah. So the book recommendations are What Your Baby Needs, which is a really nice one in terms of if you plan on doing quite attachment style of parenting, understanding how the baby might need to be held quite a lot. If you're kind of anti-sleep training, there's like baby wearing, the reason for that, the benefits of that, a little bit about breastfeeding, and really leaning into what your baby's needs are, and learning what to expect in terms of preparing your little one. So that's a really nice one. Again, I'll leave the links for all of these down below. And the other one, which is actually quite nice for my toddler at the time, so a little bit less practical, but nice for them to have an idea of what to expect, was Babies Don't Eat Pizza. I'll have both of those linked down below, along with any other kind of like podcasts or anything else that I found helpful that I might be mentioning in this video. So read books, look at some shows, and prepare your little one in terms of what it might look like as much as. The next one, and this is probably the most important one, would be to acknowledge the fact that although while your newborn is tiny, your bigger little, whether they're a toddler or a little bit older, are still little themselves. They are still your baby. And while it might look like all of a sudden they are dramatically much bigger, try not to expect more out of them just because they feel bigger to you. In fact, I would nearly go as far as to say we should expect them to have some sort of regression, whether that is all of a sudden they want to be the baby as well, or maybe they've just become potty trained and now they are having accidents again. Maybe they had been having like really wonderful communication skills and they've gone back to doing their goo goo gagas. Lean into it. Let them be the baby if they want to be. It might be, really allowing that and giving space to that. If you are changing your small baby's nappy, that you're also, pretending to change your bigger child's nappy and putting them up on the changing mat and having a little space for them. Maybe it's a case of, instead of referring to the older sibling as big brother or big sister, you are saying, and you are both my babies. So leaning into, if they want to be babied, allowing it, and also being mindful of the fact not to place higher expectations on them just because they're an older sibling and they look a lot bigger. They are still little, and their needs will still need to be seen and heard just as if it was before baby arrived. The next thing is to acknowledge any gentle or helpful behaviors from your older child just as much as you would from your younger baby, and vice versa. So, for instance, if your toddler goes and gets a nappy for you or strokes the baby's head really gently, you're saying, "Oh, isn't that so lovely? They really like that. That's so kind of you." You would love how, having your head rubbed really softly. And similarly, if your tiny baby reaches their hand out, you can say, "Oh, look," to your toddler. He or she really loves you. They're reaching out for you. They want to hold your hand. So you're making sure that there is recognition from both of your children in terms of any positive interaction, as opposed to spending most of your time telling them, "No, no, no, soft hands, gentle, gentle." We forget to really affirm them on the behavior that is positive and is good and that we want to continue happening. One of my next tips goes along with tip number one, which was preparing your child as much as you can for what it might look like to be an older sibling and to have a little baby in the house. And part of that might be sitting down with them and looking back over photos and videos of when they were a tiny baby. Videos of them having milk, videos of them being cuddled, pictures of them in mummy's arms, in daddy's arms, in the baby carrier, so that they know that that was something that happened with them when they were a baby, and they can see clearly images and imagery of what they might expect with this new little baby. My next tip is something that I honestly feel was a game changer and something that I really prioritized when we were going from 2 to 3. So Atticus was 2.5 when Archer was born, and I made really clear effort to spend a minimum of 10 minutes a day with Atticus. No phone, no baby, no distractions, doing whatever it is that he wanted to do or he enjoyed doing. So for a lot of the time we were still nursing, so it was just cuddling up with just him and snuggling up and having milk together and maybe reading a story. Other times he was really into puzzles or really wanted to play in the garden or play with water. And whatever the idea was, that it was a child-led activity, so that he could have that sense of autonomy, that sense of independence, that sense of being in control, but also have that undivided one-on-one mummy attention, which he was so used to before having a little baby brother. And so even just 10 minutes a day, being able to prioritize that made a huge amount of a difference. I would know the difference if I wasn't able to do it that day. So 10 minutes, one-on-one time, make a big deal of it. We used to make a huge song and a dance about special mummy time, and we would like run and get all excited and be like, "What will we pick? What will we do?" Or, I would sort of preempt it, say if it was kind of coming up on the time that I knew daddy was home and could be able to give me that window of opportunity, and I would be preemptively saying, like, "What shall we do together today?" And it was something then that he got really excited about, that he knew he would have that undivided attention at least one nugget during the day. And even now, at Archer's 2 years old now and Atticus is 4, he will still request special mummy time, which I think is a wonderful way for him to be able to communicate that he needs some undivided attention with just me. And it's really stood to them because they have a fantastic relationship now. My next tip is to get them involved. So this might look different depending on what age your bigger little is, but it might be grabbing a nappy. It might be, picking up their dummy that fell on the floor. It might be getting them their own baby, so their own baby doll that they can nurse, that they can cuddle with, that they can rock to sleep. But the idea is they feel involved. It becomes less so about mummy and the baby and me being separate, and more so about us doing it as a team, as a unit. I found particularly with older children, they really get the hang of like having their own baby to mind and calling their little dolly their baby. We went through a lovely phase of actually getting like a little baby carrier for Atticus, and he would go around with his little baby, and it was oh so sweet, but also really brought out this lovely like nurturing quality in him, which I think he really enjoyed and really thrived on, and would then kind of go about his business being like, "Oh no, I've got to feed the baby," and he'd have to stop whatever he was doing and sit down and nurse his little dolly, and it was absolutely adorable. But I think really gave him an idea as to what it would look like to have someone to mind and to cuddle of his own, where mommy was also minding and cuddling the smaller baby in the house. The next thing that I would say is to lower your expectations overall and really just start from there. And in terms of knowing what to expect, thinking, okay, I'm going to be really patient with myself. I'm going to give myself loads of grace, and I'm going to really just pick my battles in knowing that our job as parents is not to take away our baby's big feelings or our children's big feelings in life. Our job is for them to feel safe no matter what those feelings are, and that they can express them to us so that we can build that sense of safety and trust and resiliency in our kids, so that when they have that first breakup, they feel like we are a safe place to come back to share that with, to feel supported and to feel held. And so in knowing that really and allowing for the arrival or having the arrival of a little sibling is probably the first big transition that you have for a small person, and being able to hold space for every sort of emotion under the sun during that time means you're going to set your little one up for success for the rest of their life. And sometimes it's just sitting beside them as much as you can, just saying, I know, I hear you, I hear you're frustrated right now, I see you're upset about X, Y, and Z. Naming the feeling, repeating it back to them, remaining present, telling them, I'm just here, you're okay, helps them to feel like it's okay for them to express whatever feelings they're expressing. And I suppose to go along with that point, I would say the biggest thing that you can do as a grown-up is regulate yourself. So if it means taking a few deep breaths, if it means looking for, those 3 things in the room, something that is white, something that is bumpy, something that is soft, to help you ground yourself in the moment, feeling your feet on the floor, getting something cold maybe on the back of your neck, just to kind of really reset your nervous system. Whatever it is that's going to help you stay calm and regulated means that you can then be there for your child in a calm way. And sometimes that means making the time for you to refill your cup. If that is some loving touch, going for a massage, if it's getting some acupuncture done, if it's just doing a nice foot soak while you're nursing your baby, or getting into the bath at nighttime, listening to a guided meditation, doing your little, aromatherapy spray, whatever it might be, something that's going to help you feel good and remind you that you are calm and you are safe and that you are okay, and that this is just a fleeting moment and it will get easier. Okay, and this is one of the biggest tips that I like to remember, and that is to try not to blame the baby for you not being able to do something right away. So in this, I mean, if you're sitting down and you are nursing your baby and your bigger little says, please mommy, I want you to play with me now, come on, come on, come on. And instead of saying, which I know I've been guilty of, I can't right now, honey, I've got to feed the baby. And the little one's then in their head going, okay, well, it's the baby who's getting in the way of me having fun. So instead you were reversing that and you were saying, I'm so excited to play with you. I can't wait. I'll just feed the baby first and then I'll be right to you. Or another example would be, instead of, oh, I can't play blocks with you right now, I've got to feed the baby, you were thinking, oh, I'm just changing your brother's nappy. You go and grab a wipe for me, please. And then once we're finished, we can do some coloring together. So you're giving like a set job for them to do in between that time when you are going to be able to then be completely with them and completely present with them. And I suppose another little bonus tip for this would be make sure and reverse it. So similarly to how you are giving some sort of a job or making sure that it's not the baby's fault that you can't play with your eldest child in that moment, that you're also saying it for the baby. If you are in the middle of playing blocks or getting your older child dressed and your baby's crying for you, that you're saying, hang on baby, I'm just in the middle of getting so and so dressed, I'll be with you in right 1 second. And so you're able to reverse that, and talking out loud to your little baby, who knows none the wiser, will really help your older child to understand that their needs are being heard in exactly the same way, and that there is really and truly no favoritism going on, despite the fact that your baby's needs might be that little bit higher. Yeah, so something like, sorry baby, I'm just putting your brother's shoes on and then I will pick you up. Just making sure to reverse it. To go along with that point, I would also like to just, I suppose, remind you not to use timelines. And I feel like we get really carried away with the utilization of timelines, because I'm so used to doing it. I'll say 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and I forget that my toddler doesn't really know what 5 or 10 minutes looks like. They know that it's something that mummy says, but they don't know how long that might be. So if you can refrain from doing that and give instead, you go grab a wipe, I'll do this, and then, even using that term, and then, can be really, really helpful. Yeah, try to avoid those timelines if you can. I find the use of a timer, a physical timer, can be really helpful, particularly one that's color coded, one that's visual timer, or like even like an old fashioned egg timer. I'll share my favorite one down below that's both visual and color coded. That's really, really nice because it gives both an auditory and visual cue for toddlers. This is one that I'm going to share in my toddler hacks as well. If you're interested in any parenting type content, actually, I will leave the whole playlist for that down below here somewhere. Okay, and one of my last tips will be baby wearing. And yes, in one sense, I mean this for the tiny newborn baby, and I love baby wearing for all stages, but particularly two things. One would be figuring out how to get your newborn on your back. So this was an absolute game changer for me. I actually only figured out really how to do this on my own with my second little boy. And once I could figure out how to get him on my back, it was almost like I didn't have a second child for a few minutes, particularly if he's napping, because I could give my toddler complete attention from the front. It was like there was nobody interfering, there was nobody in between, so I could hold him close, I could read to him, I could do all of the things that I would normally do without having a newborn baby there. So that was really helpful. And similarly so, particularly when we were going through those phases of deep regression and those really like wild times in the very beginning where there was a lot of big emotions, I started baby wearing my toddler again, which I hadn't really done throughout my whole pregnancy. So putting him in the carrier and holding him close like that, it might be a case of, okay, like the baby's got to go for a walk and go for a nap. So I put him down in the buggy, put the toddler up onto my back, and for a period of time I would be able to have him close with the context, the one-to-one contact, and the motion and the reassurance and the smell and all those lovely comforting feelings that you get with baby wearing. And I kind of just forgotten the power of that, I think. So that was really, really helpful. I will leave my favorite like toddler baby wearing carrier in the description box down below, but it was a game changer for us, and I will still like wear him occasionally if he's very unsettled and dysregulated, but it's always been like a sense of a piece of comfort for him. And yeah, I guess to remind you that it's an option to wear your toddler. Those are all my top tips. I definitely counted more than 12 there, or less than 12, I don't even know, but know that it is just a phase. Know that there will be all sorts of wild feelings here, because it is a wild transition. Their sleep might be wild, those regressions might be wild, those big feelings will be wild, and know that it is just a phase. Be gentle with yourself, lower your expectations, and just start from there. And really, the biggest thing for me, and I actually had to write this on my fridge for those big times where I was like, oh my gosh, what have I done? Have I just like ruined his life? Was that the biggest gift you can give your child is a sibling. And while it might not feel like that in the moment, now watching these two boys playing together and how much they love each other, my heart just melts, and I can't imagine having not given him a sibling. So yeah, they are my top 12 tips for helping your older child adjust to a new sibling. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will leave the blog post that correlates with this video somewhere down below with a few of my bonus tips and tricks. I hope you found this helpful. Let me know if there are any tips and tricks that you have incorporated in introducing a new sibling to your family down below in the comments box. I'll meet you over there. Thanks for watching.